It's not to say that my life is perfect because I definitely fall off the fucking surfboard every once in a while, sometimes harder than others, but it's a lot it's a lot easier for me to get back up on the board and find that wave. My weather report is it's pretty sunny with some rolling clouds. Some of the clouds are a little darker than others, but they're rolling. So, it's not that bad. It's pleasant outside. You know what's been happening has been really cool. I've had a bunch of gigs fall through the past couple of months. They were big ones. For whatever reason, they fell through. In the moment of it, I reacted to it, but immediately caught myself just like, okay, whatever. This is happening for me, not happening to me. So I was able to really just exercise letting go of all of that. And I'm not gonna lie, it was stressing me out. But then out of the blue, I picked up two gigs and photography gig, and it was great. I got to go up to the Bay, and then the other night over the weekend, someone hit me up at like 11:30 in the evening for a gig that was happening the following day. And it was a big event. It was the SEPA 50-year gala. I didn't hear back from her that night, and then that day we connected and was able to book the gig. I fucking booked a gig in the same day and shot it, and then was done with it. At least started shooting, and now I get to go through about 2,000 images. But is an example of me practicing being in alignment and shit coming out of nowhere, not necessarily out of nowhere, but things the universe provided. It was pretty dope. And I think the biggest lesson takeaway for me from that whole process is just really because I have been conscious about my meditating practice on being more intentional and expanding on my feelings of what it is that I want and focusing on that and in my meditations really expanding on feeling and embodying what that feels like visualizing what it is that I see in my future, like really getting in tune with that. And once I'm in tune with that, really letting go, redirecting what that event is and how that feels, and then focusing in on the feeling and spending time meditating and embodying and working from that perspective. Uh, Really, again, just tapping into what it feels like to have those things. And shit's popping up. And the biggest takeaway for me is to really just stay focused on those things.
Yeah, you could have easily gone down the negative journey, right?
Yeah,
And like
no,
all these
totally.
all these gigs falling through. Fuck it, man. I'm not gonna just do whatever.
Hmm.
But somewhere in your mindset, you leave that door open for more opportunity.
Yeah, no, it's great. One of the things, and was talking about this perspective with another client. But as far as like going down that negative rabbit hole, the conversation I have with myself is going down the negative rabbit hole prior to pre to my personal development. I realized I've done that really well, just going down negative rabbit holes really well. And
I think we all have, right? At one time in our life.
yeah, yeah, like I've gone down a bunch of those different rabbit holes, and I know that I've explored the depths of that negativity really well.
Yeah.
Okay. And in this journey on personal development, I've started to come more into the practice of in helping me like let go or going down those rabbit holes, like understanding that I have done those really well, and now I get to practice different behaviors and patterns to explore different ways of being, and being able to get all these little wins really edifies for me that there are all these different possibilities out there other than the ones that I've done really well and gotten me shitty results. You know what I mean? So it makes it easier for me. That informs, like, when a negative situation happens for me now, one, I recognize that it's part of my inflamed ego that's really having a loud voice right now, and I get to ground myself, get myself back to neutral, and then start turning down the volume of my inflamed ego, my uh, lower self, and start turning up the vibrations of my higher self, and make a decision and choice from a more heartfelt, thoughtful, and mindful way from my higher self. And going through that process, being supported by the fact that I've already done the negative shit really well, and that things are happening for me and not to me. And that's really allowed me to let go of those patterns a lot easier. It takes a lot of practice, but it's gotten to be more reflexive for me because I have been in practice. It's not to say that my life is perfect, because I definitely fall off the fucking surfboard every once in a while, sometimes harder than others, but it's a lot it's a lot easier for me to get back up on the board and find that wave. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned, like, over the summer, in the past few months, is just like, man, life was kicking me in the nuts, but then I'm like the Shaolin monk who gets kicked in the nuts and can take it.
I think, man, because you keep talking about patterns, I think that we realize that patterns are going to happen all the time. I mean, if you realize life is a bunch of patterns, and if that pattern is coming through, you know how to handle that pattern, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it makes
Yeah.
absolute sense.
Because life is a bunch of patterns. It really is. It's like, you have relationship patterns, you have money patterns, you have, you
Trauma
know,
patterns.
yeah, well, whatever kind of patterns you want, it will come your way.
Yeah.
Especially, you talk about manifestation, manifesting stuff. It could be negative, it could be positive.
Hmm.
And it's all
Hmm.
going to be a pattern.
Hmm.
Patterns come and go. So
Yeah.
if you realize, that patterns do come and go, just like the weather,
Hmm.
right? Then you know how to weather the storm.
Hmm.
But up.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think it's awesome that we could talk about this stuff and realize, yeah. Because some of the stuff that you go through, I've gone through, or vice versa. And it's like everybody has a different way of handling it. And if we did have these tools growing up early on, my God, life would be much easier, or it's easier to navigate through the patterns because we're recognizing them, we're being more self-aware, and moving forward faster through all the negativity.
Hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. I've definitely been able to navigate a lot easier, and I know life is going to continue to, throw curveballs, and all my time is really spent is just learning how to catch the wildest curveball, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know that's going to come. And all I can do really is just, it's like when you approach relationships, you're 100% responsible for your 50%. So my practice and intention is to really work on my 100% of my 50% of any relationship, is being prepared to operate at my highest self in those situations. And then when life throws me a fucking curveball, like, being ready to catch that and being
Yeah.
able to respond to that, as opposed to just react. Just really come from a place of a mindful and thoughtful responsiveness.